What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Rhythm and Bay. As always, I'm your host, who does the most, Jasmine Ellis, and I know I say I'm excited every week, but like, why wouldn't I be excited? If I wasn't excited, I wouldn't do this. I don't need y'all. Actually, I do need y'all. Please don't leave. But anyways, I really am excited. This person is just one of my favorite people to watch online and connect with. I just love what you do. I think you're so talented, so gorgeous. I'm a fan. Give it up for Melat, everybody. Hey!
Hey everybody, it's me. I'm here. It's Maylox. What's up?
Oh my God, I did it again. Melat. I'm sorry, I did it again.
No, it's okay. I honestly didn't even notice, but it's all good.
I'm really excited to have you. What's really funny is like when I first got the concept to do this podcast, you were one of the first people I thought about. In fact, so much so that you were one of the first people I did an episode with when I was recording all by my lonesome. And then I messed up. I like lost all the audio on my end, and I literally I still have an audio of just you talking, and it sounds like you're having fun, but I'm not on there, and that's just from a branding standpoint, it didn't really work. So I'm so glad that we were able to try this again. Thank you so much for making the time to be here with me.
Oh, of course, of course. I mean, yeah, like stuff happens. I mean, technical difficulties, whatever. So I'm glad that we get another round of catch up time. So, it's fun for us. I'm having a good time and I love supporting anything you do because just like you, I love watching you online. I'm like, look at her. She's going over here. She's going over there. She's delayed here. She's stuck there. Like, I just love watching your whole journey and like, kind of going through the roller coaster of, the entertainment business and building your career. So I love it. I love the concept of this podcast as an R&B head myself. So I'm more than happy to be here.
Yes, that's so funny. I do realize that I do document a lot of my problems with air travel. Like I feel like 50% of the humor I do online is just me beefing with Delta and budget and what other like hellish. I'm sure you've got some hellish road stories. Like I know you do fantastic shows in Austin, but you're all over the place too. And I know with like the COVID and everything, like in the last year, you
Mm.
had to like pause for a little bit. But like,
Hunker
what
down.
is hunkered exactly? What has been like the craziest road story though? Have you ever had a situation where you were just like, "This is it. What is happening?"
Honestly, like I get very like paranoid when I travel, just not about like the flying or anything, but I hate stopping. I hate all the extra layovers and chances for more delays and being stuck places I don't know anyone or anything. But like, so I always try to book everything one way, nonstop. Like, I don't want to like, get lost anywhere. But the one time that it was like absolutely horrid, of course, was the one time where I went to Ethiopia and no, actually, it's happened every time I travel out of the country. For some reason, wherever I'm connecting to, because there's always some sort of connection place, how they like take your luggage and you gotta like run somewhere, grab your luggage, and then like drop it off somewhere else and then run to the next flight, like, because you gotta go through customs wherever you are. The
Oh, you've
worst
been
one was
places.
when I try. I realized it the other day. I was like, oh, I've been to a few countries. I'm pretty proud of myself. I thought I hadn't been anywhere. But no, like we were going to my father and I were going to Ethiopia and we had to stop in Frankfurt, Germany on our way. And something happened to where like their whole like customs thing like shut down and they were like really mean people with German accents, which already are like super harsh. And so they're like yelling at everybody, telling us no, telling us to go over there. And we have this luggage that we need to drop off to get to freaking Ethiopia. And it was a nightmare. I honestly think we missed our flight and had to run around the airport trying to figure out how to get on the next flight to Ethiopia in Germany. And it was a lot of nine and like just I don't know. It was they were very harsh accents. And we're just like we're just trying to go back home, y'all. So that was probably one of the worst. But I mean, not to sound like I'm a world traveler. Like I've traveled out of the country okay, well, I've gone to Mexico. But anyway, like when I went to Paris and came back, it was the same thing. I think we stopped in Chicago from Paris to come back to Texas, and it was just like a whole debacle. Like it was a marathon, like not a marathon, it was a freaking sprint. I don't know what I don't know sports,
Oh,
but
that
we had to like
sounds so
run.
chaotic. Like I always get so
It's
stressed out.
chaotic all the time. I
Layovers
don't like it.
layovers make everything worse because it's like it never fails. If you have a short layover, your gate will be 20 miles apart and you will have to run. You know, it never fails. If I check my bag and I have a 5-hour layover, I get out, I get released at gate A23 and my next flight is gate A24 and I ain't got nothing to do for an entire day. But like I had a 6-hour layover the other day and it was at 6 a.m. Because I've been doing these like in an effort to avoid the COVID. I've like kind of scoped out when like I'm sorry, I just kind of scoped out when people who don't give a fuck are flying and like when they are not. And I figured out that like the red eyes are for people who just have to be where they have to be. Everybody minds their business, keeps their mask on, and leaves each other alone. It's great. It's during like the chaos of it, like when I had to fly Easter weekend, that was like, oh no, there's so many children and they're touching everything. You can
Not the
imagine
children.
the children. You can imagine I'm very happy to be done with round 2 of the vaccine. So, but I didn't know at an international flight you have to go find your luggage and then take it to the next plane yourself. That's
It has,
wow.
I don't know, like it doesn't make any sense to me. Like I bought a ticket that says I'm going from here to here. Why do I have to like in the middle like grab I don't understand it. I don't
Do
like
you?
it. It makes everything 10 times more stressful.
It doesn't even make. Wait. And do you have to bring it yourself? Because what's the point of making sure I don't have more than 3
I
ounces of
don't
toothpaste if I could go buy more toothpaste? You know what I mean?
like like Chicago was really funny because because the flight from Paris was running late already. They gave us these like special bright orange tags that we had to put on our luggage. And so like we had to go grab our luggage. We were running late. We were about to miss our next flight. And you have to like run and then there's like some people, I don't know, flight attendants or they work at the airport or whatever. And we literally just like they're like, throw your bags over, throw them over. So we just like push them because thank God for these new roller things. We just like throw them at the people and run towards the gate, and they have like someone who's like guiding us and like running with us to get to the it was just like I don't know if I'm in like a decathlon or just trying to go home. I don't know. It was
It
intense
feels like
for sure.
it feels like air travel is the one form of luxury good, like it's something that's not a necessity, that has consistently gotten worse and still gotten more expensive. Like every aspect of like I was watching some old movie and I realized that the people were in like it was everybody people were in coach and there was still 3 seats in the row. And I was like,
Mm,
that's supposed to be the ghetto part of the plane because now they put us in there 6 deep. Like now we were literally in each other's laps.
crazy.
Yes, like I can't
Oh
wait to really
gosh.
facing each other. Like you know what I mean? Like they're like if you are traveling together, you have to sit on each other's laps. These are the rules. It's a United Skyline. It's
Buckling everyone together.
Spirit of America Airlines. You know what I mean? It's gonna get.
Spirit of America together, unity. That's what it is.
They'll
Oh
use some
god,
words like
that
that
would
that
be
sound really calming, and then just like shake you the whole ride. Oh my gosh! So that
no,
sounds
no.
crazy stressful. As an
A
artist,
little bit.
I love talking to all different people. So far, this podcast has had a lot of musicians and not musicians, a lot of comedians. And one of our favorite things is we love to ask, like, if you could decide to be a musician tomorrow, like all of your talents and God-given abilities as a comedian would disappear, but you would suddenly have that ability to do that and be musical. Would you take it? And every single one says yes. If for a
Would you
day,
know? Maybe for a day. I
yeah,
won't lie. Sometimes it's just like, ooh.
do you ever wish you did anything else, or could you never imagine yourself doing anything else?
Um, I feel like this is something that I was just like born to do. I don't think it's everything I can do and everything that
Mhm.
like comedy. I'm like that way with comedy. I'm like, Lord, I could never ever ever. Ever. I think it's so incredible to watch a comic go up there and kill it for like, you know, a stand-up set. And I'm always mind blown because I'm like, I don't know what to say. I like singing my songs that I've rehearsed. I know the lyrics already. I already went through and like, you know what I'm saying? Like I know y'all do some like some version of rehearsal, but y'all are so just like quick with it. And I'm just like, I need a little bit more predictability and structure. But that's how I feel about comedy actually. I absolutely love it. I think it's an incredible art form and an incredible skill and talent. Um would I do? I don't know. The thought of even doing comedy just gives me anxiety. So I don't know if I would actually be willing to spend an entire day doing it. But I guess if I were like comfortable with being a comic for a day, then I could do it. But I think it's incredible for sure. And that's not, I'm not just saying that because it's you. Like, that's like genuinely how I feel. I've always felt that way.
I always respect artists that like really understand how other art forms are just a whole they just use a different muscle. You know what I mean? Just a different part of who you are. I think it's it's interesting because it's like with comedy you stand in front of a crowd and you say here's all the ways we're alike, and I don't know, I'm phrasing this very weirdly, but it's just like you stand in front of a crowd and you do something that everyone in the room like on a like a basic sense knows they could do. We can all talk. We can all stand and talk into a microphone. And you do it in a way that's supposed to feel like you're making it up on the spot when you're not. You're absolutely faking that part. And you're saying something super duper relatable that all of them can think of, and then you twist it and turn it in a way that they wouldn't have. And I think when that's done really well, it's beautiful to see. You know what I mean? And with music, it's something, especially like people like you who have like these amazing ranges and voices that like, you know what I mean? I could practice all day, but I'm not going to be able to hit these notes. You know, that's just something you have or you don't have, right? In my head, I think that's true. Maybe you can teach it. I
To
don't
a
know.
certain degree, yeah. You practice it enough, you can finally get there. So.
And it's you do this wonderful thing and then everyone feels so connected to it and you'll get a whole room like, okay, if I told a joke and the whole room guessed the punchline, I need to walk off that stage forever. All right.
You're done.
Done. But for you, it's like it's the connection isn't like, oh, I can feel this, I've been this, I understand this. And it's kind of funny because it's the same, it's like it's amazing. I admire art so much, and I'm so glad the world is opening up and we get to do it in person again because I love this stuff. I love the virtual side of it. I'm sure you did a few virtual concerts during the downtime or no?
I did.
How they
I'm
feel?
just not really a big fan of the virtual. It just I mean you tell jokes and like you don't get a response and you're just like you know? It's like I sing a song and I'm like, I did great. You know? I don't know. It's just it's a little bit awkward to perform to the screen. So it's like it's cool. I actually get to sing and then I get to see responses or whatever, but it's just not the same, of course. So.
I had a humbling experience last week that I'm gonna tell you about real quick. I was in Wheeling, West Virginia. If for whatever reason one of these miserable children decides to listen to this podcast, and I had been saying like, man, I miss being in front of these crowds. I'm so excited to get back in front of these kids. I know it's you're gonna keep everything as safe as possible, but the energy you feel when you're in front of real people is just so different. And these kids proved me wrong. They were invested in not liking me. Like it was like 20s. They were all athletes. Like every single one of them played a sport and they were all freshmen. And here's the thing is I just feel like a freshman athlete in college, that means that you were the most popular person in bumfuck nowhere. Like you think you're really important.
Probably.
You're not about to listen to me. And they would like half laugh and then look at each other and be like, stop that. And then like, stop. And it was so, and I was like, don't look at her. Look at me. Don't look at her. You can look at me. Enjoy yourself. Watch just like, it was to the point where it was just like, they just wouldn't give it to me. Like something would half get them. And at one point, I think I said, I hope y'all know I'm not having fun either. So like, it's mutual.
You said that?
Yes. And I like, I'm just,
oh
and You know what? I didn't have to repeat that on
so
my podcast, so hopefully my manager or nobody who's in charge of me listens. I promise I love what I do. It was just one of those nights where like they didn't want to have fun, and I was like, you know what? You know what?
I think that happens though. I think that's part of being an artist. I mean, the whole thing, everything is freaking subjective, right? So it's like
Mhm.
some people are gonna be great. I've had some where I'm like, why am I here? Do you hear me? I'm like over here belting all these beautiful notes and they're over there yelling at the bar and I'm like, I don't need to be here. So no, and I was like, I can't do these anymore. Like either you're here to pay attention and respect what's going on or not.
Mhm.
But oh my God, there is nothing worse than feeling like, why am I here? Mid set.
Is this one of those things where sometimes it's like an event or like an organization will bring you in, and so people in the organization have no idea what's going on? They're just like, "This is a thing my company told me to," something like that kind of situation, or is it like sometimes
Yeah,
bar
so
shows?
like there are a couple of situations where like obviously I do things with companies and so they'll need like, a performance for some function or whatever. But I ended up doing like a grand opening at a hotel and I thought it was a grand opening at a hotel, but it was just for like corporate people. And I don't think the corporate people knew that this was like a live performance. They just kind of, I don't know, I guess they thought it was like background music or something. So like the PAs weren't really great. It was just like a really kind of awkward situation. And I like, I'm not a diva, but the one thing that I really don't tolerate is not having a stage. I'm like, if I don't have a
Mm.
stage to be on, I can't like project what I'm trying to, like, I need a stage. There was no stage. And so I was just sitting in front of these people. They were getting boozed up. It was like a corporate event. So people are with their homie coworkers, just like, okay, day's over. Let's drink and celebrate at this hotel. And so, they're all having a good old time. And I'm just like, and it was just all around. I kind of felt like I didn't know what I was getting into, to be honest. Like, I feel like they described it one way and then it ended up being something else, which is all good. I got my little shmoney and I walked away. But yeah, no, we don't. I can't.
You took me back, man. It's so funny how, like,
I
as a
was like,
performer, there's certain things you don't think you need to ask for until the shit is not there. Because you're like, wait, you thought I was gonna talk into what? You thought I was gonna
just
stand
yell at
on
the crowd.
there. Like, you know what I mean? It's like going to a restaurant and them looking at you
Just
crazy
use
because you
your
want a
phone.
chair. You're just like, but like,
It's like, you just grab whatever you need.
I've performed without a stage and have been like, this is so weird. This is
It's very
automatically
weird.
like, because you and the audience can't be on the same level. It creates this weird
Mm-mm.
like there's no distance. They're just like, oh, you're just a person. I don't know why this little girl's singing. You know what I mean? Like a stage creates, not to call you a little girl, but you know what I mean?
No, I'm like all of 5'4", and then I put on my heels so I could be like 5'8". I don't know, 5'6", 5'7", try to give myself a little bit of height, but like I need to be up here, and same thing. I think whenever you have a microphone, you just have this like need to kind of like be a little bit above the crowd so everybody can see you and you don't
Mm-hmm.
kind of like mix in, but so that it adds like a little bit of importance to what you're doing. And I mean, to be on like a literal slash figurative pedestal while you're doing what it is that you're doing. I think I don't know. I feel like it's respectful of the craft. Like
Yeah.
it's not necessarily like a me thing. I think in general,
Well,
it's just
that's one of
important.
those things that sometimes don't always get worked out in contracts. Speaking of contracts, so today's Off the Record, where we dig into a little bit of music history, is all about the worst music industry contracts. This is a series I'm starting now, talking about them
Cool.
because I've talked a lot about personal issues. We had a fun episode where we kind of talked about like when Lisa Left Eye Lopez burned down her boyfriend's house. Just a classic musical story of love and loss, if
Very
you will.
classic.
There. Tragic story. I think tragic backstories on like the Supremes. This is one that I find so interesting. One of the godfathers of rock soul, which later transitions into R&B. We're talking about Little Richard himself, who had one of
Little
the most.
Richard.
Would you say you love Little Richard?
Oh, I loved him as a kid. Like I was obsessed with Little Richard.
I feel like all of us in the 90s did because he played TJ's uncle, as in Taj Mari's uncle on Full House. Do you remember seeing him on Full House or no?
No, on Full House?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't remember this. I would try to catch him wherever I could catch him. I wished I played the piano still and like wanted to be him so bad. I don't remember that.
So random that I know that. I only know that because I like have like I wouldn't say unhealthy actually. It was a normal childhood crush on Taj Mahal. I was like in love with that little boy.
Oh, it was normal. It was very normal.
Yeah, I was like the same age as him. I was like, he's cute. I like his little head. Like he had the little, he had like a little backwards mullet. There was just a little bit too much hair.
Yeah, and he's Tia and Tamara's little brother. I mean, come on, royalty.
I feel like I've always had this thing about wanting to marry into the right families. Like I love my husband to death, but like I definitely had my eye on some specific Wayne's children. Like I was gonna work my way up into that comedy dynasty.
That's hilarious. That's so funny.
You gotta marry smarter, not harder. You know what I mean? Like
true. Very true. Very true. I shall keep that in mind. Very true.
Yes. So keeping up with the Little Richard story. So let me just tell you a little bit about have you ever heard about his financial problems that he got into?
No.
So this one right here.
Like, yeah. I'm curious.
So Little Richard, who died last May 9th of last year, at 87 years old, was one of the most influential musicians of all time. But a bad record deal and pervasive racism in the 1950s American music industry kept the singer from cashing in on some of his biggest hits. So a little bit more about him. After Little Richard set in a rough cut of what would go on to be his first hit single, Tutti Frutti, which we all know, Specialty Records owner Art Roop purchased the rights to the song for reportedly $50. Little Richard's contract gave him only half a cent for every record sold. Quoting Little Richard himself, he said, "I was a dumb black kid and my mama had 12 kids and my daddy was dead," Little Richard reportedly said of the deal, "and I wanted to help them, so I took whatever was offered." I hate stories like this. I hate hearing about people being exploited and this is what happens so much, particularly with black artists, is they're in a situation where like the idea of making money and getting yourself out of the situation, it's hard enough to get any type of job and make something of yourself. And then you get a chance to make money making music. It feels too good to be true, so you just say yes to stuff. I mean, we've all been, I think any artist has been in a situation where someone's offered you something and you go, this sounds dumb as hell. But like I remember, oh my God, I remember going to like literally my 4th open mic and someone offering to be my manager. And I was like, what are you going to manage? I don't make any money. And he was like, well, I can help you out with that. And I was like, oh, sure. And I took his number down. And then I just like looked him up and he was a waiter at the comedy club that he was like claiming he could manage. I was like, what are we finna manage here? And to this day, he's still a waiter at that comedy club. I hope you're doing all right, bud. I really do. So people... Smile. Wow. People will come at you with just craziness.
Seriously. That's why Sam Cooke was a really interesting character. Like, I don't know the exact details, but I know that he started his own label and started writing songs himself and started trying to take care of black artists and make sure that they had their own, like, rights and things and know-how. And I thought that was really cool. But they're, like, of the same time period where, you know, they were easily being exploited just because, you know,
yeah, which was groundbreaking at the time for Sam Cooke to do that.
Yeah, groundbreaking. Seriously, yeah, his story is really interesting. I'm like super into old musicians. I'm not really too good at getting into the histories of everything, but I do tend to watch my fair share of documentaries and whatnot. Oh, but that actually kind of... Oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that segues into one of my songs. If you wanna.
Let me wrap this up real quick then. Real quick, then we'll get right into your songs. But you're right. I am like, we are dragging a little bit. You're just catching up. We're having fun. Okay, so his contract was typical for Black musicians at the time. While artists would enjoy a cut of between 3 and 5%, Little Richard also reported received no royalties when his hits were used in the movies or covered by white singers, a common practice in the music industry at the time. In 1984, Little Richard sued Specialty Records for $112 million, saying that he had not paid royalties to him after he left the label in 1959. All right. And here's a great quote from Little Richard. I had signed a very bad deal with Specialty. If I wanted a record, you signed on terms or you didn't record. Or you didn't record. I got half a cent for every record sold. Whoever heard of cutting a penny in half? I wish I could do a Little Richard in front. Whoever heard of who? Whoever heard of hurting a penny in half? Well, it didn't matter how many records you sold if you were black. Nobody hit a hard consonant like Little Richard. You know what I mean? Like, I know he would have said,
oh my gosh.
The publishing rights were sold to the record label before the record even released. Tutti Frutti was sold especially for $50. Little Richard is quoted as having said in his unauthorized biography, The Life and Times of Little Richard. So wrapping that up, eventually he did get his money, especially around the time that he was being put into like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He had to fight for most of his life to get what was owed to him, which is really frustrating. And there were so many artists that were able to record his music and basically steal from him and sample from him for years because of those terrible contracts. But what were you gonna do when you we're just coming up from nothing? So definitely one of the worst contracts on history. $50 and half a penny. Whew. Makes me feel a little better about these LA comedy shows that pay me like nothing. You know what I mean? At least I know it's nothing. You know what I mean?
At least you know it's nothing and not half a penny, which is a whole joke. Like, what?
Yeah, it feels more insulting.
It's very insulting. It's like, you don't even deserve a cent. Like, I don't care if they were selling those records for what, 25 cents, 75 cents back in that time, but like half a cent is not okay.
Right?
Wow.
Wild. So that's going to wrap up our history lesson of the day. The lesson that we can all take from that is read the fine print, ask a lot of questions, and as I've learned now, as an artist and as just a person, know your worth, then add tax. Whatever it is, ask for what you're worth. So now let's get into my favorite part of all of this. This is where I hear the soundtrack of your life. Melat, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I know. All right. Because
there was a girl who called me Maylox, the laxative, for 6 months. With an X at the end of that was not my name, and I did not realize that she was calling me Maylox. So I'm cool with however you want to say it, as long as like that is the worst by far. So
that is pretty bad. I had a meeting the other day, and I was super excited because it was like an agency I wanted to do some stuff with, and they were like, Jasmine, and I was like, oh, it's Jasmine, and they're like, I have it down as Jasmine, and I was like, it's down incorrectly. And for me, it was the, are you sure? Oh, I'm so sure. I'm certain. I couldn't be more sure. Yes, and Jasmine isn't even a name. Like, if you met a Jasmine,
yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, are they in America? Like, where are they? What is that? Maybe it's a name somewhere else. I don't know. That is a hilarious.
And I get Jasmine. That like makes sense because it's Spanish pronunciation.
Yeah.
Totally that. Yasmin, Hasmi, maybe, but like Jasmine or Jasmine.
Jasmine? What is it?
Jasmine. Jasmine. Right? So
no,
5 songs that tell your story. And we did this a few months back, but one, I definitely don't remember. And two, you've had time to mix it up. So just lay them on me. What do you want to do? 1 through 5, 5 through 1? Are they in a particular order for importance, or?
They're actually not. I don't know. They're all kind of, I don't know. They're fluid, right? They just exist as they need to. But
I love that.
I think we're gonna. Should we go through them, or like just give you one now?
One at a time, and let's kind of discuss it as we go.
Alrighty then. Well, we'll start with the old oldest one. It is the oldest one, right? I have this beautiful little journal here that I picked up from Target. No sponsor. No, no,
Oh my gosh,
none of that. But it's
that's
just really
really
pretty.
cool.
It's gold and like embossed with like peacocks and flowers or something. I don't know. Anyway, so the first song I have here is Misty by Ella Fitzgerald.
Oh,
And it is the first time I heard it, I was, well, let's just say that like in high school, I was listening to a whole lot of old school jazz. So like Nat King Cole, Ella Fitzgerald, Frank Sinatra, like you name it, that's what I was listening to. Even Michael Bublé, the great Michael Bublé. But yeah, I heard this song Misty, and it was just so melancholy and sweet and like emotional. And I think Ella Fitzgerald just has one of the most beautiful voices ever. I think she just naturally was able to like emote with just a single note, and then obviously her like jazz skills and whatnot, but the song itself was just one of the most beautiful things I had ever heard. And to this day it just makes me melt every time I listen to it, and I think it's super beautiful.
this is one of those ones that I didn't know I knew. As soon as I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh no, no!" and I could hear it as I was reading the lyrics. I've heard this before. It is such a vulnerable song, and that's such a. It's lyrically like just to like because I think I can read a lyric or two before we get sued. Uh, Look at me. I'm as helpless as a kitten up a tree, and I feel like I'm clinging to a cloud. I can't understand. I get misty just holding your hand. Oh, so cute. So
Like
it's adorable.
what? It's just so sweet. It's like ugh, ugh.
It's really nice to hear that kind of like I feel like that resonates in a lot of your writing and a lot of what you put out there is there's like I have this thing where a lot of new R&B, I like it. I don't hate it. I just feel like there's a lot of this like I feel like a lot of the I'm a bad bitchness of hip hop has made its way into R&B, and it's a lot of ego, which isn't a bad thing, but I think great love songs check their ego at the door and they leave
Yeah.
vulnerability open, and they're like, this is what your love does to me, this is the position you put me in, this is how I feel, as opposed to this is what I'm gonna do when you don't text me back, you know what I mean, like it's just you know what I'm talking.
100%. Yes, I love that because that's like one of my things about the way that I write and the types of songs that I make. And it took me a while to be like okay with it, but I also had to get pushback before I was okay with it because someone like a label person was like, okay, well, we want to hear stuff that's a little more like you said, a little more like F you, I'm gonna steal your girl, I'm gonna steal your boyfriend, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna whatever. And it's like, well, I'm just not really that kind of person, first off. And I personally would never respond like that, which probably means that there's other people that wouldn't respond like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and write what I know and what I understand to be true to me, because why would I be writing something that doesn't make sense with who I am? But yeah, and I listen to a lot of this type of music, like Misty, and then like there's a million songs by Nat King Cole that are gorgeous, but there's more by Ella Fitzgerald and Frank Sinatra, just that entire era of that like jazzy type of music, and it's just very sweet and very honest and gentle. And I think a big part of a real love is vulnerability. Like if you don't have vulnerability, you can't really, you know, be fully immersed in that love, fully taken in by it. It takes a lot of vulnerability to be in love. And I think this song like really showcases that. But I just think it's a beautiful song performed beautifully and just incredible.
Ella Fitzgerald's also someone who has like a fantastic controlled voice. And that is something that you see kind of come in and out of styles as far as like generations go. Like sometimes we get more of that like very belty style of singing that's like
Mm-hmm.
more a lot of runs, like it's kind of funny too, the length of music. Cause like back then songs were like a little on the shorter side. And then like you
Mm-hmm.
get around to like the 70s where I always say this is the
15
coke.
minutes.
Yes, the cocaine high era of music where songs are like, God, my personal favorite long. Do you have a favorite long ass song? Like, what's your favorite long song?
Oh, girl, I'm Ethiopian. Ethiopian songs be like 10 minutes. That's how I knew The Weeknd was Ethiopian. His songs were 15 minutes long. Like, what? I have so many.
I did not know that, but I mean, I knew he was Ethiopian, and I know his
That
songs are
was,
long, and I
yeah,
never put
that
them.
in his voice, I could tell like this. I knew he was Ethiopian in like 2 seconds. It's like,
My favorite long ass song is Jamaica Funk. I don't know who makes it, but it's just one of those songs that just everybody knows it. It's
I'm gonna need
Jamaica
to look
Funk.
that up.
Jamaica Funk. That's what it is. No. Okay. Here's what I love about this song. It is, I want to say 11 minutes long.
Oh
I'm
gosh.
probably 100% right. I'm like 90% sure. I want to, oh yeah, 11 minutes and 6 seconds long. Okay. And it starts out with, you can hear everyone coming into practice and they're like, "What's up, Charles? You brought us a pizza, Charles? Charles is finna lay it down." And they're just talking. Come on, Peggy. Come on, Peggy. Go ahead and hit that note. Like, just
Wait,
shit
now
talk.
what was this engineer doing? Was this, I wonder if this was on purpose or if the engineer was like, no, I gotta get all of this. Especially like, wait, is this an old song?
Yes,
So it was on tape.
1970,
Who wasted
1976.
their tape like that? I mean, it's classic now, I'm sure, but.
Oh, the real name is Funkin for Jamaica by Tom Brown. But there's like 13
Ooh.
people on this shit, so it can't just be Tom Brown. Oh,
Funkin'
1980.
for Jamaica?
Funkin for Jamaica. It is a
I'm gonna have to
single by
look it
jazz
up.
trumpeter Tom. I'm gonna add this to the playlist of this episode because you
I gotta
gotta
hear it.
hear. It's so long, it lasts forever, and it's just it's just so much
That's
happening in it.
hilarious. That
You
is so
have to be
funny.
on a little something to just be like singing it. And I love how in the, like, back to Ella Fitzgerald, I love how they kind of just, they sung it straight, but it was beautiful because there's power in those notes. And there's nothing wrong with the bigger, beltier style, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
interesting to see both things coming in and out of fashion, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's something that I personally like. A lot of my stuff comes from what I heard these people do, like these people being like the Ellas and the Nat King Coles and stuff, but they have just this insane amount of control and you'll feel so much because there's so much that can be emoted through that control. And so that's part of my like vocal strategy. Is that the word? I don't know what it's called, whatever. But yeah, no, I definitely picked up a lot of the things that I do from studying people like them.
Who are some artists you get compared to?
Sade, a lot.
I see that. I don't think you
I've
sound like
been,
her, but I think it's the same vibe. Like, I'd play y'all back to
I
back.
think that's what it is because I'm like, I don't think I sound quite like that, but that must be what it is. Maybe it's the vibe more so than the sound. I've been called like the love child of Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, which was like a huge compliment because
Okay.
they're like the bestest, pretty much. Um, and then Alicia Keys, I get her a lot. Um, those are probably the top like four comparisons that I get. I think, yeah.
I think those are all artists I could see you pairing well with. I always see, like, to me, putting together a playlist is a little bit like making a charcuterie plate. Like, you got to make sure that things
Mm,
complement each other. You don't want too many flavors
hmm.
that, like, I mean, you can have some really out there flavors that don't belong on the same plate, but you might hurt your tummy. So sometimes it's nice. I'm really running with this charcuterie example.
I love it. I love me a good charcuterie board, you know? I love it. I love
A good
it.
charcuterie board. A good charcuterie.
Charcuterie.
Oh my gosh. That is okay. So I love your first song there. And you're going, so let's keep going from oldest to newest. And that's kind of a fun
Hmm.
chronological way to move through things. So we've got Misty by Ella Fitzgerald. So that's like, came out in what, 30s? Let's see.
Did it? I have no clue. I've actually never looked it up.
Let's
I
see.
honestly don't even
Written
know
by
who wrote it.
Garner Enroll and Burke Johnny. That's one of those names they don't give anybody anymore. Burke Johnny. Um, oh, well, it says 1960. I feel like it's got to be older than that.
It might
No,
be. I mean, her career was pretty long, but I feel like she might have recorded it earlier. But it might be a 1960 song. I wouldn't be
hmm.
too surprised. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
she was born in 1934, so I don't know why I said the 1930. I sound like as a millennial, I'm shocked at myself. I sound like Gen Z because they think everything, if it didn't happen when they were born, it was 200 years ago.
Mm.
They're just like, I found these ancient low-rise jeans in a time
Oh
capsule.
my god, this crop top with butterflies on. Oh my god, I put butterfly clips in my hair for this photo shoot, and I was like, oh my god, I hate myself because I loved them so much. They were so cute. I was like, I don't want to be a middle schooler again, but everything's coming back, and I'm not
How
handling
does
it very well.
Is it weird partake? Because that's what makes me feel weird. Is it's partaking in the trends that I already overcame. Like, you know what I mean? It'd be one thing if I never
We
did
over
this.
That's the word. We overcame these trends. We left the scrunchies in the past. We left the flares in the past. We left the freaking, remember those skater shoes that were like super chunky ones that like I had to get mine from Payless because my parents were not gonna buy me like the real ones that everyone else had. It's just like all these things. It's just it's a difficult time right now to be a millennial. I think we're just having some internal conflict
The
with
crisis
trends.
is real.
It's a real crisis for real. Anyway, well, I guess that might. I don't know which one of these songs. I do know which one of these songs is next oldest. Okay, "Always Be My Baby" by Mariah Carey.
Shoo-doo-doo. Oh, yes. What a clap.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
God,
I
do not
cannot.
let this song play around me. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm having a conversation, if it's an important like meeting, whatever. If this song comes on, I stop what I'm doing and I sing. I don't care. I cannot help it. The spirit overtakes me and I must sing this incredible song. I love it
This is one of
so
those songs.
much.
This is one of those songs where the background vocals are a main character as well. Like it's
Oh
almost
yeah.
like a duet because it's like both. Like I have a hard time picking which part to stick because I'm one of three girls. So when my sisters are in the car, my sister's like, "Pick a side. You're doing the low notes today." Like she's like,
One of
"Stay
my
in
best
your
friends
lane."
did that to me. Yes. Yes. Girl, yes. That was my childhood. But this, I mean, like I fought with my god sister about one of the words. What did I think it was? Oh, I did this last time too. I never remember what I thought.
Is it inevitably? I think it's inevitably.
Oh, and will linger on. I didn't know the word linger. So I was like, this part is willingero. And I got into a legitimate heated debate with my god sister that the word was willingero instead of we will linger on. And it was
Linger row. What did you think
linger.
linger row meant?
Look, there are certain things that grown-ups understand that children do not, and I thought Willingaro was one of them. And I was like, I will learn one day what Willingaro is, but that's clearly what she's saying because there's no other possible English word that she could be saying right there besides
Oh.
Willingaro. And I think of it every time I hear the song too, and I just sing Willingaro because it's more fun.
Sometimes it's just fun to be loud and wrong. Like there's this trend on TikTok where they call it white girl freedom dancing, where you just kind of throw your arms up like to no beat on purpose, and it feels good.
I
Just like when
actually
you
was doing that like a week
it
ago.
feels
I bravely went out with my one little COVID shot. Yeah, I'm halfway there.
yep.
And they were playing some like music. I didn't know what it was and I wasn't really enjoying it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start punching in the air in random directions and just moving at random times. And I was having a little Taibo session. Maybe I'm showing my age with that. That's cool. I don't care. I'm a millennial. I'm proud. Whatever. I'm doing it. But I did my little punch in the air dance. Maybe it was close to the thing that you
It probably
said. What
felt
was
so
it?
good.
It did. It did.
Feels so free. So always be my baby. It's a favorite for you because it's been your favorite for a really, really long time. What is
Yep.
like? It's a favorite because it's been a favorite for a long time. And have you? Is this one that you would do it a karaoke song? Is it one that you want to hear alone in the car? Like when do you want
Oh
to hear this?
no. I'm like, I really don't ever want to hear karaoke of this song, probably. I don't know. I think I'm a purist when this is one of those songs where I'm like, if it ain't the original, it's not right. Probably. I wouldn't even touch it. I'm like, this is sacred. I'll sing it in the privacy of my car. Um, but no, it's one of the first songs that I remember like learning the lyrics that I thought were lyrics too. Um, so it's like super special for me in that reason. What was your question? Do I sing it at karaoke? I no.
When do you most want to hear it? And I think you answered by saying in the car, like when
Oh
you can just kind of.
yeah. Well, I want to hear it all the time. Like I want it to play everywhere. I think every store should have this on their playlist. I think everyone should have. It never gets old. I can listen to this every day for the rest of my life. I think I'll be fine. Yeah, I love this song. I think it should always be played.
I'm
Mm.
a big Mariah Carey stan, and I think this has to be like top two, maybe not number two, as far as Mariah Carey songs go. And I think it's because she manages to pack a ton of notes and lyrics into a song. I feel like a lot of people sacrifice one or the other. So there's a ton of runs, lots of up and downs. Look what my voice can do, but then like there's maybe 10 words,
Like the
or
substance isn't really there.
yes. And I feel like it
Yeah,
really packed in both. Like that's one thing that impresses upon
that's
me
super
about it.
true.
Are there any particular songwriters that like influence the way you write songs? Would Mariah be one? Or who are some songwriters who influence how you write songs?
I guess, I've never really paid too much attention. I'm always paying attention to more of like how the voice and the melody is making me feel. I've never
Mm,
really thought too much about the writing. There are certain writers that I think are really good. Like I think Her is a really good writer.
mm.
Um Mariah Carey obviously is a really good writer writing all these songs. I don't know. I can't think of any off the top of my head. But yeah, I pay attention to the lyrics, but I feel like I end up paying more attention to how it's delivered. Um, and like how something super simple can be delivered in a really impactful way simply because the melody or the note structure, whatever, or the intensity of how it was sung, um, like emotes it in a particular way. So I think that's kind of where my mind usually goes. But now I kind of want to look more into the actual writers. Oh, Esther Dean is another one. I'm like, how do people write hit after hit after hit after hit? She's written so many incredible songs that I can't think of right now, but I know she wrote a lot of stuff that was on the radio for a
You're
while.
right. I mean, we have her to thank for Super Bass, and that alone, you know what I mean? Like all you have to say is Super Bass. Like who does, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that
That
was a pretty phenomenally done song, just all around. I was like, wow, yeah, it was really good.
it was an era too, like a song and an era at the same time. That's amazing.
Super bass era. Yes, I will accept that. Yes, for sure. That's so true.
I am gonna probably name this episode Willie Grow, and it'll just be what I just want you to know.
Thank you.
I've
That would
decided.
make me so happy.
And if by somehow, some way, Urban Dictionary like adds it like a word created by R&B singer songwriter Maylox, first coined on the Rhythm and Bay podcast, a reference to a
Oh, that
childhood
would be so awesome.
misunderstanding. Walingaro.
Look, I remember that like argument. It was so heated, and she just eventually was like, whatever. And I was like, yeah,
So she
because
stopped
I'm
trying to
right.
fix it.
And I was like, what is wrong with me? That's the Taurus in me, obviously.
When you found out you were wrong, did you apologize or did you just say
Girl, no,
whatever?
I didn't find out I was wrong until recently. No, I have not told her. Like I didn't pay attention to it. I just like did not know what the lyrics were right there. I would just keep saying Walingaro. At a certain point I knew Walingaro was not the word, but like I didn't know what it was. I want to say it might have been Yeah, I feel like it was within the past couple of years that I figured out what she actually said. I just I didn't really care. I would just like keep singing. I was so enthralled by the song. I didn't care what the words are. I have not told her. I should probably tell her. That's
That's
funny.
so funny. You said a Taurus.
I'm
Are
gonna
you a
have to tell
Taurus
her.
sun or moon?
Girl, I don't know. I gotta read my little. Hold up. Let me pull up my app. It can tell me. I think it's my son, the main one. But I
Yeah, it's
know
your
I got
birthday.
two Tauruses. I
Oh
got
yeah,
two
yeah, yeah.
Tauruses in my sign. I'm
Yeah,
actually
Tauruses are
looking it
hard
up
headed.
because I'm.
Tauruses are a little hard headed. My dad is a Taurus and he has to get hip surgery this week. And he called me and he said, "You know, those people won't let me wear my gold chain. Like they said, no gold chains, no rings. What kind of mess is that? You know, I can't be myself.
Oh
I'm
my
getting
god,
that
I
open."
love it.
I was like, "Daddy, I think you'll be okay without your gold chain for one
That
day."
is so funny.
Hard
I had to
headed.
look it up.
All
That's what
right.
we do. That's how we do.
Always got to stunt. Okay.
Look, I can't help it. I am what I am.
All right. Track number 3 on the playlist of your life.
Track number 3. I actually don't know which one of these was first, but we're just gonna go with. I think it was, yeah. I think it was Brown Eyes by Destiny's Child.
Ooh.
So I heard this song and I was like, oh my god, I found my wedding song. But then after that, I started looking at the eyes of every dude I had a crush on and had to make sure that it would fit my song because otherwise it would be really awkward at my wedding. And I did end up dating a dude with blonde eyes. Not blonde eyes, blue eyes, not blonde eyes. He had blonde hair. But but so I was like, ooh, this clearly will not be the one, but it is what it is for now. It's not the one for sure.
Oh my gosh. What a. So this is off the Survivor album, which comes out in like the early, I want to say 2002, which is just like such. Like you and I are about the same age. That's like, I want to say you're like
Mm-hmm.
maybe 13 or 14 when you have this like epitome. Like,
Emotion. Yeah. It was an epiphany for sure. I was like, oh my God. And I would do this thing where like I would get a new CD and would I still kind of do it. Like if I really like a song, I'd listen to that song over and over again until I learn all the words or suppose that I learn all the words. But I had a booklet this time. So this song, I remember just sitting there and listening to it on repeat. I was like, oh my God, it was so beautiful. I need to know all the lyrics to this song. And I do. I still know it. Oh, it's such a beautiful song.
it is a beautiful song. It's like there's a lot going on with it. And this is one of those things too. People don't give Beyonce enough credit for being a songwriter.
Oh,
She's listed
no.
first here. They never do. And she was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame with Say My Name, which is like 2 or 3 years before this comes out. But then, you know, nowadays they're like, oh, she doesn't write her songs. Like she doesn't have to right now because she works collaboratively with other individuals, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh, now that you said songwriters, now I'm starting to remember it. Like Beyonce's really great. Obviously, she has a very particular style, which is it's a little awkward sometimes because she be shoving some words in there. Um,
Give me an
but
example, please.
I mean, just it's like most of her songs. So I can't think of it, but sometimes it's just like she's just talking. Like she'll just say, I can't think of anything. I'm like awful at thinking words, thinking lyrics, but like she will just put a whole ton of like I don't know. It's just like her thoughts, like they just kind of fall out and they're in the song now.
Mhm.
But her and then Neo's also another really good songwriter,
Oh, yeah.
and I know he's written with her
That is
for
so
a
fun. That's
while.
a fun way to describe that as shoving a lot. She does put a lot of words. I guess it's because it's kind of like the maybe it's that Houston influence or that hip hop influence of like
True.
getting a lot of words into a short amount of time, which kind of leads
That's
her to
true.
almost like a talk singy thing,
Mm-hmm.
which I like a lot. But yeah, this is a great song. It's one of those ones that I kind of just like forgot about because it wasn't a single from them. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a really sweet song. Oh, so
I
this is
had
one of those
forgotten
songs.
about this album. Yeah.
You know what is the worst song off of this album though? Like just not to go
Which
negative,
one do
but
you think is the worst song? Because I got my I got my list of worst songs from that album too.
mine is Nasty. I hate it with everything in my heart. I
Oof,
hate it.
Nasty, and then I had a love-hate relationship with Happy Face.
Oh my gosh, I think I remember Happy Face. Happy Face was stupid.
It was
Lyric.
weird. I had a love-hate relationship with that song. It'd come on, I'd like just start doing my little punching dance, my little weird dance. And then I was like, God, this song is why? But Nasty's pretty bad.
Sunshine was shining.
I
Happy Face.
was like, what?
Yeah, this is one of those albums that it felt like it came out really fast because they needed to have something right after writings on the wall, because there was the jokes about how who's going to be the next one off of Destiny's Child Island, and that became like Survivor, and then you had Bootylicious, but it wasn't all gold, you know what I mean? There's some not.
It was not.
Yeah.
No. But that one, Emotions, is really good.
Yeah.
I love the prayer song at the end. I forgot what that was called. That was
I know
really
you're talking about.
But yeah.
This was just a quintessential album for young
Black and the
girls.
Independent Women song was on there, part 1 and 2.
Oh my God, how did I forget Independent Women? Like super important song for, just like for our formative years of young Black girl millennials, you know what I mean? That's just like a big part of like when did you and your friends, did y'all ever like play Destiny's Child? Who would you be? Were you the Beyonce of the friend group, or who would you be?
I grew up in a very white area, so like I was like one of the only people that I knew who was actually listening to Destiny's Child in that way, where like to the point of having the CD. But in choir, we actually had to do this project where you have to pick a popular song and pick a group, and then you have to sing it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, our group chose Independent Women, and we had practices to like sing it, and I was definitely Beyonce, but it was a train wreck of a performance. I will never forget it. And one of my friends, one of the girls who I'm still friends with till this day, does not let me forget how much of a train wreck it was. It was so bad. I think we got like a C or a D. Like we did really bad. It was awful.
Why would a teacher give you that low of a mark though? Like what?
It was awful. It was awful. It was before you could easily find karaoke music, and so we got docked because we had we recorded the song super low, so that we were like, oh look, we like kind of muffled it so you can't really hear the main vocals like from the actual song, and then like we also played it really low over the speakers when we had to perform it. And then one of the girls was, it's like a middle school choir, right? So like not everybody's really meant to be a singer, so some of the girls weren't singing, and then like people went on the like wrong parts, and then like I would try to like jump in and save ship, but it didn't quite work out. The ship was not saved. We definitely sunk very far down.
About that is I was curious about asking you if you ever considered going like the group or girl group route, like if you ever thought about like before and to know that like middle school choir, when they tried to saddle you down with these mediocre these non-talent,
no girl, no,
and said never again.
Girl, no, it was the worst. There was nothing worse. Like, God bless those choir teachers, because I don't know how they do it.
I can't believe they gave you that low of a grade.
It was bad. No, it was a train wreck. Like, we didn't follow the directions. Like, we did not have the type of track accompanying us that we needed to. We crashed and burned. People didn't know their parts. And then, like, there's me trying to, like, save parts when people forget words. And it was just so bad. It was so bad. No, group, I realized then that group singing was a way for me to continue singing. However, it is not my path
Hmm.
whatsoever. Like, I also wasn't like able to explore like my like the register that I sing in. Like, so I was a soprano, so I was always like me all the time, and I like kind of hated it. And I wanted to sing more like out, but I never had the like chance to in choir. So it was fun, but it wasn't, you know, for me.
The money I would pay to see a bunch of struggling 13-year-olds try to sing that "Our least that like that harmony part. Oh man.
I don't think it exists anywhere. I really hope it doesn't.
I hope your
It's,
friend who still makes fun of you secretly recorded it. I hope she has it
oh my
on the
god.
grainiest razor phone
Please no.
somewhere.
I think our choir teacher honestly might her my choir teacher's daughter actually ended up being the sound engineer for my performance for ACL last year, which was totally random and super bizarre, but I'm sure she has like all the like terrifyingly terrible things that we recorded back in the day. But anyway,
That is a fantastic girl group story
it's
right
so
there.
good.
And
Yeah.
your middle school choir story just makes me think. I went to high school with a really famous country singer. Her name's Maren Morris, and we were in junior high and high school together. And it's really funny because, like you said, in these choirs, they just put everyone. Like you have to be in choir whether you can sing or not. And I remember there was only two alto singers, and so I always had to sit next to her because I like couldn't find my part, so I could like
Oh
listen along.
no.
So
You were her. You were that girl.
I hope there's no universe where she's like, there was this one off-key girl. I mean, the only black girl in the choir couldn't find a note. Like, I'm sure she wouldn't say that, but that'd be
Oh my
so
gosh, no, no.
like
That's hilarious.
just had to lean into me. Still couldn't find the note. That would be so. I just,
Those people really did exist though. That is not unique. That is definitely a type of choir students for sure.
there's got to be a Michelle. You know what I mean? Like, no offense to Michelle Williams, but there's got to be a weakest link. Like Michelle Williams can sing, but when you put her next to Beyonce and Kelly, you're like, what you doing?
Oh my god, have you seen those TikToks where like I think they're TikToks where they're like it's like no, it's like the Destiny's Child battles. So like it's like Michelle is singing and then like the Beyonce comes in and tries to like outdo her and then the Kelly is just like sitting there laughing and it's hilarious. I need to find it and send it to you. It's hilarious.
The internet is undefeated. People have noticed all of this like tension that none of us knew about back then, but just like the uh, uh, the actual like vocal showdowns that would happen between them right in front of our eyes, and none of us like we didn't catch it when we were younger, but it was just like Beyonce was kind of singing everyone into submission, like get in your range, like
Yo,
stay out of my nose.
I love it. I shoot. I like that's like I don't know when people watch like old school like football game not old school but like football players watching old football games and boxers watching boxing matches and like I watch that shit. Can I say shit? I don't know if I can
Yes,
say
oh
shit.
girl, yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah, no, I watch that shit. I love it. I'm like, oh dang, look at Beyonce coming out swinging. I saw her at another like. It wasn't even with the rest of the girls. It was she was with like a couple of other artists, and I saw her just kind of be like, "Oh, you got your guitar? Well, I got my voice. Let me show you what it does." And just like, she comes for these people, and
I gotta
I don't know. I kind of appreciate it. It's fun to watch.
We love a verbal sparring match. We really do. Keeping it
Love it.
moving. Next to just some great champions of music, we've got Destiny's Child, we've got Ella Fitzgerald, we've got Mariah Carey. I'm loving it. All of this wonderful Black girl magic on this playlist. Give me your
Yes.
fourth song.
So, my fourth song is a song by an Ethiopian artist, and his name is Teddy Afro. And the song is called Nigareng Kalch, which translates to if you say for me to tell you, and he's speaking to a woman because the language is masculine and feminine. So you can tell by the title that he's speaking to a woman. And the whole
Mm-hmm.
song is about how he knows that his girl is up to no good, and she's not really like fully into it, but he's like not ready to accept this. And so he's just like telling her, I'm not ready to accept the truth of what this situation is because I love you. And it's just super sad and sweet. But the music video is kind of hilarious. Um, he's just like sitting in this like white studio. There's like a random couch and like a saxophone player and a stool, and he's wearing these glasses sometimes. And he's like lying on the couch, like just thinking about his life and whatnot. It's hilarious. But anyway, but the song is really beautiful, and I've always really liked it too since I first heard it.
Very cool. So the last time we recorded this, you actually like got me on this artist for the first time, and I really enjoyed like listening to this song. Um, this is sorry, I'm looking it up so I can like get like the spelling of it right. If you say for me to tell you, I need to check out the video though. So as far as like Teddy Afro goes, is he's one of your would you say he's one of your favorite Ethiopian artists or like one that you
Yeah, for
recently got?
sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, he's been around for a minute. My no, he's not the I would call, maybe he's like, nah, he's bigger than the Weeknd because he's older. He's been around longer, but he's pretty big in the Ethiopian music world. If not, I think he's probably like the biggest artist right now. He's just
Mm-hmm.
super well known. Pretty much doesn't miss when it comes to his albums. He's pretty spot on. He's politically vocal and like a very um, he's a pretty good role model, I would say, as well. But he's a prominent figure in Ethiopian music, entertainment, and he's pretty good. Super
That's
proud of him.
awesome. That is very, very cool. When did you first get introduced to this particular song? Like, what is it? Does it, do you connect with it in the sense of like really liking that particular song, or does it like remind you of an experience you've been through?
It doesn't really remind me of an experience per se. I just I had I don't know. I think I don't like I can't even really remember what time period it was that I first discovered this song. Um, because I was trying to remember as I was trying to do things chronologically backwards. Um,
Mhm.
but it's just one of those songs where I heard it and I just have this like love of songs that are somewhat melancholy but always about love and have like just like I don't know, just something to them that like feels very vulnerable, which I think is probably it's a running theme on this playlist and I guess through our conversation. But there, it's a very vulnerable um, position to be in, to be like, I know the truth of what's going on, but I still love you and I don't want to accept it. I know I'm not ready to accept it, so I'm not gonna sit here and talk to you about what I already know is going on. So I think I resonated with that vulnerability of the song, and I feel like there weren't too many Ethiopian songs at the time that really kind of fed into my personal R&B vibe, my little world of music that I like to listen to. And this, I think this is one of the first songs that really kind of fell into the groove, even though it's in a different language, even though it still has elements of Ethiopian music, it still kind of flows with the vibe of the type of music that I love to listen to.
Very cool. I'm looking. One thing I like reading about is different artists from who are creating art that sometimes causes a stir. And when you look up Teddy Afro, one of the first things you find about him, like the first found that one that I found was from Arab News. It says Ethiopian pop star Teddy Afro delights fans, irks authorities. And he's gotten into some situations with like political trouble where they've tried to ban his music. But it just seems like it's an overall theme of just like love. And it seems so strange that there's like problems politically with stuff that he's put out there. But I guess it's just like if you're not saying exactly what the authorities or people in here we go. When a rumor spread early in his career that he committed the taboo deed of autographing the breast of a female fan, Teddy battled down the allegations by saying that as an Ethiopian, he could never do such a thing. A remark that won him admirers across the country. Oh, wow. That's such a random. Do you ever hear that story or no?
Girl, no, that is bizarre. That's hilarious. But
I was like, what did he get in
no.
trouble for? He just sounds like a
Well,
nice.
it's a very like Ethiopian music doesn't have cursing.
Mhm.
None whatsoever. You rarely hear Ethiopian curse words in, like, if you do, it's like someone who's a little more like, I don't know, but it's just like you never hear it. You don't hear it in music, you don't hear it in people talking. It's still very traditional.
Mhm.
Like the whole family can listen to the song, you know, like they write love songs, but they're just very, you know, like Misty is a love song that everybody can listen to. It's a very, like, I don't know, wholesome love
Yes.
songs, I guess, really. Um,
Mhm.
so, you know, there's a lot of that. There are some people who are more and more trying to push those boundaries, as, I mean, that's time, that's progress, that happens everywhere, but there are some people who are trying to push those boundaries, but for the most part it's still very traditional. There's a lot of like tribal stuff that keeps people separated. People will always find ways to separate themselves. It seems no matter how much everybody seems to want unity, people will still constantly find ways to divide themselves and others. So there's a lot of that has happened in the country that has, you know, I mean, it rifted families, it rifted political parties, it's rifted a lot of things. And so, but a lot of people, as the world becomes more, what's it called, like globalized, is that what it's called, when everyone starts really coming together through social media and the internet and stuff?
Mhm.
People are, more and more people are advocates of unity and not finding more and more ways to divide themselves, but finding more and more ways to unite each other. And he's very much a person who moves forward and tries to unite themselves, unite people, because like one of his albums is called Urso, which means black person, um, and that in itself was like a big step, because there's, you know, there are some Ethiopians who are like, oh, I'm not black, and I'm like, that's what you think, but that's not true. And there's a lot of people like Teddy Afro who's like, no, that's what we are also Ethiopian. But like, you know, identity is a big thing, tribally and racially and all that stuff. So he's very much an advocate for unity and understanding, and some people don't like that.
That can be such a bold thing to just vocally embrace your identity in that sense. Like I feel that way about James Brown, who, you know, led a very conflicted life, did some not great things, did some great things. But I mean, popularizing the expression "I'm black and I'm proud" is like, in America, that's something I can relate to in the same aspect of like just standing in something that used to be taboo, and oh, I'm not black, I'm colored, or you know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm 1/18th Chippewa on my daddy's side. You know what I mean? Like wanting to
Yeah.
distance yourself from
Yeah.
blackness, as opposed to standing in it, and standing in that is a beautiful thing, and I think that's awesome. So it's interesting to see how people can make art that seems like the message is so clear: love, acceptance, and kindness, and then it can still get twisted and perverse if maybe they're not using their platform in the way that everyone else wants them to. So it's interesting to see, and reading up on Teddy Afro and like the life he's led, and like how he's so huge in Ethiopia, and like Americans, we have such an insular way of looking at music, where if it's not big here, is it big? You know, there are people like,
Yeah.
you know, I just figured out K-pop when I had some time to sit down. I was like, oh, okay, they doing it. You know, it's huge. I was missing an entire
Massive.
movement.
Massive. Freaking
Massive.
massive. It's insane.
And I really only know one group. I really only know BTS because they have all of the like they have the quintessential boy band haircut, and it's just it triggers something in my little millennial soul. So
Oh
I
my God, I
love.
love watching them perform when their song comes on. That little song, I start doing the little dance with them.
Is it
Na
weird that
na
on
na
some
na na
level
na
though?
na 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 na. So, oh, Dynamite. That's what it's called.
Yes. Although just sometimes feel like there's too many of them. Like seven's a lot,
Oh,
or am I
I don't know how
crazy?
many there are. I sometimes I think it's 12. Sometimes I think it's 5. I can't tell.
It's
I have.
seven. It feels like
It's a lot.
too many.
It is a whole lot.
Okay,
Hola.
so we're coming to that time. We are on our fifth song of the hour.
Yes.
It is our number 5 song.
Number 5. Of course, I
Mm-hmm.
had to put myself on this list. And it is my song called Neng, which is the only song that I have that's fully in Amharic, which is the language of Ethiopia. And it means I am. And that song I wrote a cappella. I was like in front of a microphone and I was like, okay, I know I'm gonna make a song. I know it's gonna be a cappella, no clue what it's gonna be. And when I opened my mouth, like Ethiopian words, Amharic words came out of my mouth, and I was like, okay, cool. I guess that's where we're going with this. And as I kept trying to just like freestyle it into existence, I realized I was feeling like it felt like my grandmothers, who have both passed from both sides of my family, paternal and maternal, were speaking to me, and neither of them called me by my real name. Neither of them called me Melat. One called me Adisalam, which means to love, and the other one called me Moded, which means, no, that was wrong. Adisalam means new world, and Moded means to love. And it felt like I was being told that my purpose was to lead in a new world with love. And it was super emotional. I was literally bawling. I was in tears. I was like, what the heck is, I just wanted to write an a cappella song. I wasn't trying to do all this. But it really did feel like a message. And it took me like 3 weeks of just like constantly going back in, trying to record and not, but I would just be bawling each time. Um, so it was really difficult to get that down, but once I did, I felt very I guess confident and good in knowing that my purpose was to lead with love in whatever it is that I do and however I do it. Um, and it was interesting learning that, because love is such a cliche word. Sometimes it can be used and it's like, oh, I believe in love, oh, I just talk about, I speak on love, I do this through love, and it sounds so cliche, but for me it felt like I have a purpose behind it. So even though it may be a word that we overuse and sometimes misuse, it actually has a meaning when it comes to what I'm trying to do and what I'm here for. So it kind of reframed everything that I do. And since then, I've been kind of like moving forward and refining what that means. What does it really mean to lead in a new world with love? Is it just being nice to everybody? Is it just writing love songs? Is it, so it just kind of, it seems to evolve each year. As I grow, it grows with me and it takes on a deeper meaning. Um, so it was a life changing moment, and life changing song for sure.
Wow. I so many things you just said resonated with me as being so big in a really exciting and almost scary way. Like one, getting in the booth and deciding to do an a cappella song to me is courageous. Like a good beat can hide a lot. You can
Yeah.
you can slide it. You can get away with anything with the right beat. So like
Yeah.
to strip that away and really put just the emphasis on what was going to come out of your mouth is huge. What made you decide to do an a cappella song?
I love me a harmony, a good harmony. Just like I love to build harmonies. I'll get lost just doing that for hours. And so I knew I wanted to do something that kind of highlighted that. A lot of people listen to the song and they think I had like a vocoder, which is the machine that'll make your voice sound like it's all stacked with like a bunch of different harmonies or whatever, like machiney kind of sounding. Um, but it's actually my voice with some filters on it. But each melody was sang by me. So I love to make harmonies. If you ever stripped out any of the backing tracks of my songs, you'll hear how intense I get. I just like fill it up with harmonies and vocals and stuff all over the place. So I love doing that. So I kind of wanted to do something that showcased that, and I wanted to be as raw and real as possible. And of course, it went like off the deep end of raw and real.
It's beautiful. I love that. That's so beautiful. That's amazing. I feel like you write songs the way people get tattoos. Like it's a big piece of who you are in that moment and something you want to memorialize in a sense. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I love that. I'm gonna use that and be like, oh, this one time I spoke with Jasmine Ellis and she said my songs are written like tattoos and I fully agree with her. Yes, that's exactly how I'm gonna say it too. I love that.
They make a statement. They stick with you. They Willingo, if you will. They impact you and lingero. Look at it,
Grow forever.
If you believe it's a word, it's a word. I like
it. It's 100% a word. Look at this, will linger forever. The feelings will linger. Oh my god, that's so true. That's probably why I don't have any tattoos. Like, no ink on this skin because I put it in my music. I guess that's really interesting. I love it.
I didn't realize you didn't have any, but I was like the way
not a single one.
The way you describe the way, like it sounds like the way people who are really passionate about why they put something on their body talk about it. You're like, this is why I put it into the world permanently for it to be consumed or enjoyed or interpreted. But this is what I was ready to put out, and it is what it is. And it's like, it's a very permanent feeling, but also a very freeing feeling. I don't know. I really connect to what you say about how you put things out there. And I think that's just so dope. And I'm excited about what you have coming up next. So before we wrap everything up, what is next for you? Where can people hear you and see more of you? What's going on next?
Well, I have a few shows here in town, but I will be having some shows outside of Austin coming up this year. But you can keep up to date with all of that. I'm most active on Instagram at Behold Melat, Melat. And my website is beholdmelat.com. I'm also on Twitter and Facebook. Everything is Behold Melat, so you can find me there. But I am finishing up a project right now, which brings together a lot of songs that I made over the past year. I guess more than a year now, like in quarantine. And I think it's called After I Was All Alone. That's what it's been called for a little bit. We'll see if it changes by the time it comes out. But it's really, I made a project called After All, episode 1. And I started doing shows and touring. And my last show was on like March 3rd or 4th or something of last year. And then everything went to shit. And coronavirus thus followed the pandemic and all of that fun stuff. So I didn't really get to do as much with it as I wanted because I was intending to make After All episode 2. But then I was like, well, how about After I Was All Alone? Because that's what happened. Yeah, so it's just a collection of songs that kind of reflect some things that we were going through at the time. So I'm really excited for that project to come out. But that's coming up very, very soon.
I'm excited to hear that and to find out all of the great things that we can listen to on After I Was All Alone, which is just a genius name, by the way, like a great way to just expand on an idea. Yeah, I love that so much. That's so funny that you said March 4th is my birthday. And I remember
Oh,
thinking
really?
yes, March 4th, 2020 was my best birthday gathering ever. It was like, you know how like every time you plan something big, something goes a little wrong, right? Somebody doesn't show up, somebody gets lost, something. Everybody showed up, everyone was on time. We were drinking, laughing, having a good. I was like, this is the best birthday I've ever had. And then the world ended. You know what I mean? Like 2-3 days later.
Girl, yes, last year was like on this like up and up trajectory. I felt all the momentum going. I was like, okay, this is my year. I mean, we always say every year is our year, but like it was really our year. Like things were
Yeah.
really happening. I like did my first little own tour. You had a
Yeah.
bomb ass birthday. You were about to like do all these shows and make it happen. And then it's like, okay, hold up, wait, what?
Yes, it is so everybody I know who had been waiting on something, it was like it was coming and then it came to a halt. And but you know what? I really think it's just so beautiful to come out of the other side of it. And just,
Yes.
the things that we've learned about ourselves. I mean, not to say that like, oh, COVID was so good for me, because like, no. But
No.
there's some beautiful things that have come out of the other side of it. And I'm grateful to still be standing, Definitely.
Yes, I am super thankful to be where I'm at and to have, to be healthy and to have been able to create and to not have, some people went through some terrible stuff over the past year. And I feel for them. And so it was really difficult for a while because you're like, how can I be, not enjoying myself, but like working on my craft or trying to figure out what I'm going to do next when people are literally losing family members and, just like houses and jobs and all these things. And so I really, I decided that, like I have to find my purpose through all of this. And my purpose is to lead with love, which means I need to use my vehicle of music to provide some light in a dark time. And so that was what I tried to do, and that's what I'm gonna keep doing because I don't know what else to do in this crazy ass world we live in where anything can literally happen at any moment in time. So
I love that. I love that outlook, and I love everything you've got going on. If you guys are having fun and loving the podcast, make sure you follow, of course, follow Melat on all of her things. Behold Melat. You can find her on her website, Instagram, all the good stuff. If you're enjoying Rhythm and Bay podcast, you know where to find me, Instagram.com at Rhythm and Bay podcast, Facebook at Rhythm and Bay podcast, and on Twitter at Bay Rhythm. And yes, I made a mistake and cannot fix it. They won't let me. I keep trying, y'all. And
Bay Rhythm and
Bay Rhythm and I can't fix it. I don't know how to fix it. I've tried. I think if I get like a certain amount of followers, they'll let me. But so that's all the more reason to follow, please. And if
that
you're
is
enjoying
a
the
huge
podcast,
reason to follow.
Yes. Save the name. Save the name podcast. You can find me, Jasmine Ellis Comedy, at all the things at Jasmine Ellis. That's JASMINEELLIS. And as always, thank you for listening. Thanks for spending some time with us, and keep it smooth. All right. Thank you. That was so good.